In this video, we are going to talk about week 4 lab exercise problem, right. So, this is one of the very important lab week because we are going to talk about serverless services. Okay. So, if you know this, when we talk about cloud computing, this is the current thing what is happening in industry. The latest trend or emerging trends in cloud computing is serverless computing, and it has been achieved with the serverless services. Okay, serverless compute services. So, in AWS we have AWS Lambda, and in Azure we have Azure functions. Okay, so this is very important lab. You have to spend lot of time in the lab, and also after going home you have to practice lot of problems or execute lot of questions in these platforms, right. So, what is this all about? See, we say that you are having lot of dependency on the systems, right. Let us say in my laptop I install the software, I have to install the software, I have to do the configurations, right. I have to open the IDE, install the IDE as well, and open that and write programs, right. So, we know that this is a challenging task. If your laptop is at home, you are somewhere else, you cannot make the changes, right. So, serverless computing, we have already studied about serverless computing. So, as a proof for that concept of serverless computing, we have these compute services, right. It means you log in into AWS, you go to Lambda or you go to Azure function, choose the language, you can choose the version, which version of that software or the language you want, write code, you can test it there, you can deploy it there. Everything you can do in the cloud itself, right. Serverless computing, we don't manage the servers, it means we don't manage any installations or network configurations or system configurations. We are least bothered about the configuration system which you are using, right. Everything, writing code, you need not do any installation of the software. That is what serverless computing is all about, right. So, the products of the concept of serverless computing are Lambda and Azure functions, AWS Lambda and AWS Azure functions, right. So, you will be writing, you will be executing some programs in these platforms, right. So, let us talk about AWS Lambda. Is one of the services in AWS. You go to AWS platform, you search for Lambda there, you click the Lambda, you can, after that you can create function and you can choose the language, okay, whichever language you want to write, you can choose that language and you can write the programs. Okay, so there are so many languages supported, Python, Node.js, Java, .NET, C#, Go, Ruby, right, and these are all directly available, and some are available using custom runtimes. If you want to execute C++ and some typical programming languages, then you have to create a separate custom runtime for that, but these are all readily available for us to execute. So, what will you do? You will go to Lambda, click on the create function, choose the language which you want, and remaining all settings remain same. You click create function. Once you create the function, you will see an environment where you can write the code. Okay, you will see the environment here, code, test, deploy, like this options will be there, right. And here that particular program will appear, the default program will appear. You can add your code, and you can test it and deploy it, right. So, since the input and output format is always in JSON format, so you have to give name, you have to give the inputs like this, name and age are the variable names, and these are your inputs. Suppose you are executing an array problem, there you have to give A as 10, B as 20, or maybe you are accepting it as an array, you can directly give the inputs as like this 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50. Okay, you can give the input directly like this and execute it, but if you are giving values, specific values, you can give it like this. Okay, it's again how you accept the input. If you are writing input to accept it this way, you have to give, or else you can only enter the numbers as well, right. So, AWS Lambda, what you have to do in the lab? You have to execute so many problems. You have to do some simple problems like addition of two numbers, okay, basic things. Then you have to work on some string problems, and you also have to work on array problems, right? Or maybe you can do sorting, some two three kinds of sorting you can execute, some array kind, any array problem you take and you can execute it, right? You have to write the program and execute it. Okay, so this is a very important exercise. You should know how to use Lambda, what all programming languages I can choose, and you have to write you have to write programs in different languages and try to execute and see the output. Okay, it is just like an online compiler. Generally we sometimes practice in some C++ online compiler, Python online compiler. Same way, it is kind of creating an environment for you where you can write the program, you can test it and deploy, right? Same is for Azure as well. Even in Azure, how to access this Azure function? You have to go and click create resource and then click on function app, right? You have to create function app. Once you click on create, it will show one screen for you. There you have to select the language of your choice. First you have to select whether you want to write the program in it will show 2-3 options to you: VS Code, or using command line interface, or develop in the portal. So it is better you choose the develop in the portal option, and there itself it will create an environment for you and you have to write the program. So you have to give a unique function name. This is same for even AWS as well. Even in AWS you have to choose the unique program name and then you have to choose the language of your choice. So again, these are all available languages. You can choose Python and execute some programs, or you can choose Java and execute some programs, right? Here also input is in form of JSON format. So depending on the problem you give, right? So what problem should we execute? Okay, so it's very simple. You are going to explore this one service alone. You are going to write programs and test it. That's it. So you will do simple hello world testing. Then you will work on addition, some simple problems, computation problems I mean to say, right? Computation problems. Then some questions on looping. Then you also have to do something with strings, at least one problem of each. Then arrays. Don't forget you have to do arrays, because we give input, no? In array problems we give 2 array as input and then see the output. So all that you have to execute, right? After that, the most important thing is you can even see the logs. You can even see the logs, right? It means how much time it has taken to execute the programs, right? So you wrote a program either in again here we call them as functions. Okay, so you write a function and you try to test it. After testing, right, when you are giving an input and testing it and getting the output, after you should know how much time did it took for you to take that input and give the output. So you can go and watch the logs. Okay, in both Lambda and Azure you can see the logs. It will show you, it will take some time to reflect the logs, but after 2-3 minutes or 4-5 minutes you can it takes 2 to 5 minutes basically to show you the logs. So you write a big problem, you give the input, test it and see how much time it is taking to execute. Okay, so you can derive some interesting points like for a Python program what was the time taken, for Java program what was the time taken, like this you can do some analysis there, right? So this week this is very important exercise. You should know how to use Lambda and Azure functions, because that is the only service to know about serverless computing, and this is trending now. So in any project in future, whatever you will be working, you will be writing Lambda and Azure functions. You will be writing some functions basically, right? You will write that functions using Lambda in AWS or using Azure functions in Azure platform, right? So this is very important week. I hope you understood what to do in the lab. You have to go open the services, write programs, different kinds of programs you write and test it. You can even write web technologies, you can write web applications also, you can build it, right? So you can explore all that options available in the serverless compute services. Okay, this is for week 4 lab. Thank you.